welcome you to this Bible study of the Banking Blessings Ministry. My name is Goodluck Ofebu, and this is my wife,
Abigail.
We welcome you to this continuing study on our series on husband-wife interactions. Today we'll look at the interactions between Abigail and Nabal and Abigail and David. We have like a double relationship here because the account in the Bible begins with the marriage of Abigail and Nabal being married, and they had an interaction with David that wasn't so pleasant, or they were going to have an interaction that wasn't so pleasant, but Abigail was able to stop it. We'll look at the details later. But what we learn from this story, is that Abigail and Nabal may have been really already estranged. Already their marriage probably was already on very bitter terms, and the problem that occurred between them and David and his men resulted in Abigail meeting David, and they really admired each other. And later on, Nabal died in a natural death, but soon after that meeting, and David married Abigail. But there is more to it. We've in fact looked at this in the past, but in this particular Bible study, we're going to focus on using it to learn lessons about husband-wife interactions. Mommy, do you have an opening statement?
As usual, anything that tells us or expands more the interaction between husband and wife and what we can learn from it. Any study that expands it is always a welcome one, for me in particular. And I think looking in depth at Abigail and Nabal, their relationship, and the consequence of their relationship and Abigail's action that resulted to Abigail and David's relationship as well will be an interesting one.
Okay, let's move on. What we're going to learn in brief is that Abigail and Nabal lived together as husband and wife, even though everything indicates that their marriage was already in very bitter terms. But we will see that despite the problem between them, that Abigail and, for all we can see, Nabal also, each of them had full control of family resources, so that when problem developed that threatened a serious attack against the family from David and his men, Abigail was able to mobilize the resources she needed to intercept David and his men and to make amends. We will see the details as we get into the account. But what we know is that she was able to redirect David from seeking vengeance against Nabal, and in fact she showed that she had very good understanding of David's mission, David's approach to worshiping. The fact that David had a strong commitment to worshiping and serving God. We call it David's godliness. So she understood this, respected it, and in fact used her knowledge of this to redirect David, to convince David that it was not necessary for him to attack Nabal and the household as David had intended to do. The interaction between David and Abigail in this encounter, we think that they fell in love, and in fact the way that Abigail showed understanding of David, and the way David appreciated that must have laid foundation for love, so that when the opportunity did arrive, if I'll call it opportunity, that's the unfortunate death of Abigail's first husband, Nabal, David sent message to her and proposed marriage, and Abigail accepted. We're going to get the account from the Bible, 1 Samuel chapter 25, verses 2 through 42. We're going to make selections that help us focus on the aspects of this that we want to understand. The interaction between Abigail and Nabal, and interaction between Abigail and David. In each case, as well, first case, husband and wife, the other one, two people that eventually got married. Well, let's start with the family emergency. What happened was when Nabal was a very rich man, had a lot of farm animals, sheep and goat and all that. We'll see the details in the Bible. So he had shepherds that took care of this. And at this time, David and his men, David was a fugitive, kind of running away from Saul, moving from place to place to protect himself from Saul, with about 600 men that were with him and their families. So during some of this time, David and his men were in the same wilderness with Nabal's shepherds. And David and his men protected them, took care of them, and essentially were like an army around them, so that their things were not so they got the benefit of protection from an army that they didn't pay for. Well, when it came to sheep shearing time, that's when rich farmers like Nabal, would host people that worked for them and entertained them, and a lot of food would be cooked during this period. So David sent his men to Nabal with a very good greeting, said, peace be unto you and all that. We'll read the details, but basically asked Nabal for a food gift. And said, look, that when they were in the wilderness, they helped your people. So can you be kind enough to find something for me and my men? Nabal refused. Not only he refused, he insulted, and he refused with contempt. So one of Nabal's servants saw what happened and reported it to Nabal's wife. But we will look at that in detail. But let us read about the family emergency that arose from this interaction between Nabal and men that David said to him to get some food. You want to talk before we read, or proceed? Let's proceed. Okay, so we're going to read three selections for 1 Samuel chapter 25, verses 2 to 11, 14 to 17, and 21 to 22.
Okay, 1 Samuel chapter 25, reading from the New International Version. Verse 2. A certain man in Maon, who had property there at Carmel, was very wealthy. He had 1,000 goats and 3,000 sheep, which he was sharing in Carmel. His name was Nabal, and his wife's name was Abigail. She was an intelligent and beautiful woman, but her husband was surly and mean in his dealings. He was a Calebite. Verse 4. While David was in the wilderness, he heard that Nabal was shearing sheep. So he sent 10 young men and said to them, Go up to Nabal at Carmel and greet him in my name. Say to him, Long life to you, good health to you and your household, and good health to all that is yours. Verse 7. Now I hear that it is sheep shearing time. When your shepherds were with us, we did not mistreat them, and the whole time they were at Carmel, nothing of theirs was missing. Verse 8, ask your own servants, and they will tell you. Therefore be favorable toward my men, since we come at a festive time. Please give your servants and your son David whatever you can find for them. When David's men arrived, they gave Nabal this message in David's name. Then they waited. Verse 10, Nabal answered David's servants, who is this David? Who is this son of Jesse? Many servants are breaking away from their masters these days. Why should I take my bread and water and the meat I have slaughtered for my sharers and give it to men coming from who knows where?
Okay, so we've read the first set selection, and what this tells us is what the problem was. Nabal treated David's men with contempt. He not only refused, but he treated them like they were totally undeserving of what they requested. Of course, the man left. One of his servants observed that. Let us see what happened next.
Still reading 1 Samuel 25, verse 14. One of the servants told Abigail, Nabal's wife, David sent messengers from the wilderness to give our master his greetings, but he hurled insults at them. Yet these men were very good to us. They did not mistreat us, and the whole time we were out in the fields near them, nothing was missing. Night and day they were a wall around us. The whole time we were heading our sheep near them. Now think it over and see what you can do, because disaster is hanging over our master and his house and his whole household. He is such a wicked man that no one can talk to him.
Okay, so we call this a quick thinking servant. He saw the way his master treated these men. He knew that these men were really under no law. They had the leader David, and whatever David asked them to do, they would do. And that if he says that they were unhappy, and he says that they could come back to essentially take by their own means whatever the neighbor has refused to give to them, and that he saw this as potential danger. And he talked to Abigail and said, look, I couldn't talk to your husband because he wouldn't listen to me, and the way he treated these people, I'm afraid something bad may happen. See if you can do something about it. And Abigail responded, let's see what happened in that section. Oh, well, yes, what happened now, we're going to see that David, in fact, confirmed, based on what he told his people as they were approaching, because he had told them to put on their sword, and as they were approaching the Nabal's area, he told them where they were going and why they were going there. So, and this, what he told them, confirmed what the servants feared, that something bad could happen to Nabal's household. Okay, let's proceed.
Verse 21. David had just said, it's been useless, all my watching over this fellow's property in the wilderness, so that nothing of his was missing. He has paid me back evil for good. May God deal with David, be it ever so severely, if by morning I leave alive one male of all who belong to him.
So they were heading for real disaster for Nabal and his household. Well, let's see before we look at the encounter between Abigail and David, let us try to understand what happened here. We'll see evidence that Nabal and his wife were already estranged. They were living together. They were still husband and wife, maybe because of the way marriage was looked at. The way they understood marriage, maybe it was easier for them to just live together whichever way they could. But communication had totally broken down. They didn't talk between themselves. From these negatives, obviously, we're not really here to criticize them. We're here to try to learn something. You will see that here Nabal did not seek his wife's input when David's men came and made that request. Something like this is something a man would have called his wife and said, here is a request I received, just to discuss it and see what the wife might say. And in fact, the process of looking for his wife to tell her will also give him time to think about the request instead of just react the way he did. And he may have also given him an opportunity, maybe if he had the servants look for his wife, then these servants would get an opportunity to say, Master, these people that came to you actually did a lot for us when we were in the field. So he didn't take any of these opportunities. But the more important thing is he didn't look for his wife. He didn't tell his wife. And the benefits he would have got of having time to think about it are really side benefits. The main benefit is that something like this, a man should discuss with his wife. A woman should discuss with her husband. That is on the side of Nabal. On the side of Abigail, you see the same thing. That as soon as she was told, of course, she recognized there was potential danger coming to them, and she wanted to act quickly to forestall the danger if possible. But still, must have taken time. We are going to read it in the Bible, but you will see that she had to put together a lot of things. So I think she had enough time to have told her husband, I said, what happened between you and these people? Let's do something. But I think what happened, because of the breakdown of communication, she believed that talking to Nabal was a waste of time. And you will see this attitude in the way that she described Nabal when she met David on the way. It was really horrible. So let us read about this from 1 Samuel 25, 18 to 19 and 23 to 25.
Yeah, and before we read that,
Okay.
I also feel, yes, there's no doubt that the communication between husband and wife there was breakdown in communication, and the way they reacted showed, especially Nabal, the way he reacted showed a lot of things. And then if you look at the beginning of the chapter, this narration, you will see that both Abigail and Nabal were described in the narrative. Abigail was said to be, somebody that not just beautiful. If you look at it from the King James version, I think I wrote that a woman of good understanding and beautiful countenance.
Okay.
So let's look at that bit of good understanding and apply it in this situation. The husband refused from the account she heard from the servant. Would it have been okay to go back to him at that time and say, why did you not do this? Or why couldn't we have done this?
Yeah.
I think he would not have. And remember, she's the one who is more spiritual out of the two, who understood the mission of David.
Yes.
So, to forestall David's anger, actually, she met David and his men on the way.
And
so if she has stayed to say, okay, let me discuss this, let's find a ground, which most likely the husband will still stand his ground.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have achieved anything.
Would have wasted time.
Yeah, because her action of going to look for David does not really support the fact that her not telling her husband was out of despise.
Yeah.
Because then she wouldn't have gone. But I think it was to forestall David's anger and what he would do, and then her husband may not have. She understood her husband, and he may not have understood discussing this at that time.
I totally agree.
So she had to make a move.
Yes.
To save the situation first.
Yeah, I think she believed that talking to him would lead to her wasting precious time.
Exactly.
I believe that was the case.
If we look at the account of the Shunammite woman,
Yeah.
you know, there are a lot of, I think it was something about women of those days. I mean, if there needed something to be done, if you understand your husband,
Yeah.
in her own case, she understood her husband in a positive way.
Yeah.
This one, she understood that her husband would be mean about this thing. So,
Yeah.
but either way, they had to take an action.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's read it. So, but you're right. It's yeah, those two situations are comparable. Maybe sometime in the future we'll try and bring some of these things together.
Okay, we are still reading from 1 Samuel chapter 25, verse 18. Abigail acted quickly. She took 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 dressed sheep, 5 seahs of roasted grain, 100 cakes of raisin, and 200 cakes of pressed figs, and loaded them on donkeys. Then she told her servants, "Go on ahead, I'll follow you." But she did not tell her husband Nabal. When Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey and bowed down before David, with her face to the ground. She fell at his feet and said, "Pardon your servant, my lord, and let me speak to you. Hear what your servant has to say." "Please pay no attention, my lord, to that wicked man Nabal. He is just like his name. His name means fool, and folly goes with him. And as for me, your servant, I did not see the men my lord sent."
Well, this is quite important. I mean, we understand that Abigail was trying to do something positive here, was trying to protect her family, and she understood what happened between David and her husband and tried to quiet David down, to redirect David so that he didn't come to attack them. But she sought one thing she did here that would not be recommended for couples is that here she sought to distinguish between herself and her husband. She said, don't think about that man. Don't take him. He's a wicked man. Don't go by what he said and all that. She could have made her appeal in a different way, but already, as I said, there is a background. I think things have really broken down between them, and yes, they were living together. They were still called husband and wife, but it looks to me like he has totally broken down, and they were just doing the best they could. And there is no doubt that she despised this man and knows that he was a wicked person and didn't mince any words about saying that. But ideally, what you would expect from a couple is that they remain together in things. Of course, in this case, they were not together, but they remain together so that if a husband is talking to an outsider about something that is going on in their home, he should present it in such a way that he is representing he and his wife. The same way for a wife, should present it in such a way that she's representing her and her husband. That it's one they are together. God has put them together and they relate to people as one, kind of.
Yeah, that's the way the two have become one.
Yes.
Despite the breakdown
Yeah.
of their relationship in their home.
Yeah.
Abigail, should have continued with the message of trying to broker peace without maligning her husband, without despising and disrespecting her husband before David.
Yes.
Yes.
So
she could have continued on that her mission to forestall the harm that was coming to her family.
Yes.
But she didn't need to, despise her husband, or she didn't need to In fact, the way there was a version of the way she started, oh, forgive your servants, forgive. You know, it was like when one sins, the other has sinned. It is the union. It is, you know, when you see relationships like that, it's easier to approach God. After the Bible said, one will put 1,000 to flight, and two will put 10,000 to flight. You know, it would have been more honorable if she had admitted that guilt the way she was admitting that they were wrong. Yeah. But please have come to appeal.
Yes.
And it would have been. That's the way the Lord would want us to go about.
That is the way the Lord will want us. That's exactly the thing here. It's not, don't misunderstand our road. We're not here to criticize Abigail and we're here to learn from them. So this is like a negative lesson. But the way she presented this is not the way that God expects a couple, any member of a couple, the team of couple, to present something to an outsider. But let's continue. But there is a positive thing that we can learn, even from this broken down relationship. There is a positive thing that we can learn, and that is Abigail was able to make this effort to save her family because she had what I call authority to represent her family. And this authority comes in there are two aspects of it. One is access to family resources. The things she needed, the materials she needed, the servants that she needed. She had no problem talking to them, giving them instruction, and they obeyed her instruction. There is no finance, I don't know about finance in this case, but she needed transportation, for instance. She was able to mobilize the resources she needed. So this is access. Another aspect of it is capability. Being able to understand what to do, how to mobilize things. I'm putting it this way because this really, if you apply this to modern times, where things are very complicated, society's life is very complicated among modern people, making sure that each of the two couples, each the husband and the wife, that each of them has full access and also has sufficient knowledge to be able to mobilize family resources in an emergency. And you should think of the kind of emergency where only one is available to act. It may be because of sickness, it may be because of death, it may be because of travel, it may be because of whatever it is that makes one unavailable. The person that is available and is facing the emergency should have full access to family resources to be able to attend to the emergency. The same way that Abigail was able to mobilize whatever she needed and to go. Think about it. If she was unable, because already her husband had tried and failed and was now a sitting duck waiting to be attacked, and if Abigail was not able to mobilize the things she needed, if she needed permission from her husband or needed her husband to tell her where the donkeys are and how to bring them together and things like that, maybe she would have been unable to go intercept David. And from what David said, one of the passages we read, it would have been bad. The fact that she was able, the fact that she had access, and the fact that she knew what to do, those two things are very important. And I think we modern people, when I say modern, I mean people of this time, we should learn that as a positive lesson and find a way to apply it in our life. Authority to represent family has two aspects: access to resources and knowledge about capability to mobilize resources.
Yeah, capability. Very, very, very important point you have raised. Very important point, because when you look at a lot of marriages that have hit the rocks, a lot of marriages where there's so much unity and problems, is always centered around resources. Mine and yours.
Yeah.
This is mine.
Yeah.
The husband doesn't want the wife to know much about what he does
Yeah.
or where
Yeah.
what he has,
Yeah.
and the wife is like, okay, I'm also earning my. I don't want him to know. It's
Yeah.
for me and my people,
Yeah.
or me and the things I have to do.
Yeah.
You know, some people, you know, we jokingly put it that the wife says, "What is yours is ours, and what is mine is mine." You know, that's so wrong.
Yeah, that's so wrong. Yes.
It could have been a disaster in this situation
Yes.
if Abigail did not have access,
Yeah.
like my husband said.
Yes.
If Abigail didn't know where to get the things she needed
Yeah.
and didn't have access.
Yeah.
But another important point we should raise here is a lot of women are not interested.
Yeah.
Interest.
Yes.
A lot of women are not interested in what their husband does.
Yeah.
And even if the man wants to bring them in, you know, they are not, they don't have interest
Yeah.
in it. It's not just, okay, they're interested in the money or in the things you have acquired, how many houses, how much is the bank account, but the process.
The process.
Because, you know, if she didn't know, like you said, how to untie the donkey, or that we have so many, we could have reserves there,
Yes, yes.
or it would have been, she would be there waiting for the man to come and say, okay,
Kill them.
go to this account, go to this one,
Yeah.
or kill, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the men will tell you, she's not interested in what I
Yeah.
do. You know, we're not saying go and be like a watchman or something.
Yeah.
But showing interest will mean that when you are given access, you would know what to do
in an emergency.
in an emergency.
Yeah.
You know, or when needed, not just emergency, when needed, and when needed. So this is very, very important, because when in our days, when we, you know, there's nothing that is expected in marriage now that God did not establish from beginning.
Yes.
When you say husband and wife should have joint account, they say, joint account.
Yeah.
That one will not work. You know, that one will not work. You want him to know how much I earn, or you want her to know how much I earn, and another thing, that, well, this is not where we're going. You know, it's not like a marriage session where we're saying the do's and don'ts, but it's just what we have to learn. Here is that access is important on both sides. It's bi-directional.
Yes.
It's important.
Yes.
Interest is important.
Yes.
It's bi-directional.
Yeah.
And it could really save the family.
Well, honestly, it's something that I hope we have another opportunity to discuss in more detail, because I have a feeling that this may be one of the points that God wants us to learn from this particular account in the Bible, that sufficient access and knowledge about things so that resources, the capable individual at the time, the individual that is available to act in an emergency, whether it is the wife or the husband, has full access and and sufficient knowledge to be able to mobilize and do what is needed, because the life of everybody could depend on it, both themselves and their children. Look at this one. The entire household, their life, their survival depended on it. And what she did actually saved them, as we see as we move on to the next section. Well, the next section is the encounter between Abigail and David. When she met David, she showed very good understanding of who David was, what position David occupied in the Israeli society at that time, the fact that Saul was after him trying to take his life, the fact that he was anointed to be the next king of Israel, the fact that he was a godly man, he was a man that worshipped God, he was a man that would not want to commit sin. She knew all these things, she respected all these things. It's not just that she understood, but she respected. And then she used this actually to convince David. she used this to convince David not to do what he told us he told his men he was going to do. That there was no need to attack Nabal. There was no need to try to extract vengeance for himself. There was no need to commit needless bloodshed, she called it. He said, when you become, we're going to read this, when you become the king of Israel, you don't want this type of needless bloodshed on your conscience. In the last Bible study, we looked at the interaction between Michal and David. And there you see a direct opposite, that Michal had very poor understanding of what was important to David. So that when David worshipped in his way, worshipped God in his way, Michal despised David because of it. And hated and then criticized him in very bad terms, just to show her hatred. In this case, it's the same thing, but instead of misunderstanding, she understood and respected. He respected who David was, respected David's mission, respected David's godliness. Honey, can you talk about this a little before we read from the Bible?
Yeah, it's very interesting that you bring that up, because it's one of the notes that I have written here.
Yeah.
When you call it love at first encounter, most people might not see that. It's not because they're looking for where David will tell Abigail, "Oh, you're a very nice woman. Oh, you look very nice," and all that. But if you look at the mechanics that engineer love, all of them are there. As Bishop Alonge has taught in so many things, and I think we should try to get some of, if you get access to any of his tapes on love, and he will tell you there are 3 things that need to be present. That is exposure, that is acts of kindness, and then there was access. So Abigail, and David meeting was there. Her act of kindness was, all the praising David and, telling him who he is and how he's this and how he's that. Unlike David's wife, Michal, that was doing the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay? So, when David goes back, and then she brought all the food to show that she's a woman that is understanding. So all the required things that will make love happen were there in that encounter.
Yes.
So there was very little surprise that as soon as David realized the woman was available again, he made a move.
Yes.
Because those things has registered in his brain.
Yes.
He has registered in his brain. But another distinction I want to make here is that of Abigail, and not Michal now, Abigail and Nabal. If you liken it to what happened between David and Michal, I still call it being unequally yoked. Abigail had a spiritual understanding of David's mission.
Yeah.
While Nabal did not.
No.
In fact, Nabal was like Saul, who was like, that's why he was insulting David and saying, who is this? People have run away from their masters and all that and all that.
Yeah.
If you understood who David was, you would have said, please, how much can I give you?
Yes.
Do you want more?
Yes.
If you understood that David was on a mission for God.
Yes.
It's the same thing. And if you look at both cases, both of them did not have a good ending.
Yeah.
Michal, who also despised the mission of God in David's life, despised it and insulted David and all that, God shut her womb.
Yeah.
She was barren.
Yeah.
And actually lost the relationship between her and her husband.
Yeah.
In this case too, if we read on, we'll see here that Nabal died.
Nabal
And
died.
actually, it was, the Bible said God killed Nabal.
Yeah. Yeah.
God killed Nabal. So when we are being unequally yoked, when we don't have share the same spiritual understanding, or you are, you have, you want to marry a man and then you say, I think he will change. He will come to know my God after we marry. Or you are marrying a girl and you see all the signs are there that you people don't believe in the same thing. So you say, no, don't worry. After I marry her, I will make her change.
Yeah.
God will touch her. We have to be very careful.
Doesn't happen.
We have to be very. It's always a recipe for disaster. That's why the Bible says, do not be equally yoked with unbelievers.
Okay. Okay, let us read the details in the Bible from verses 28 to 34 and 39 to 42 of 1 Samuel chapter 25.
Okay, 1 Samuel 25 verse 28. Chapter 25 verse 28.
Yeah.
Please forgive your servant's presumption. The Lord your God will certainly make a lasting dynasty for my Lord, because you fight the Lord's battles, and no wrongdoing will be found in you as long as you live. Even though someone is pursuing you to take your life, the life of my Lord will be bound securely in the bundle of the living by the Lord your God. But the lives of your enemies he will haul away as from the pocket of a slain. When the Lord has fulfilled for my Lord every good thing he promised concerning him, and has appointed him ruler over Israel, my Lord will not have on his conscience the staggering burden of needless bloodshed, or of having avenged himself. And when the Lord your God has brought my Lord success, remember your servant. 32. David said to Abigail, praise be to the Lord the God of Israel, who has sent you today to meet me. May you be blessed for your good judgment, and for keeping me from bloodshed this day, and from avenging myself with your own hands, with my own hands.
Yeah.
Otherwise, as surely as the Lord the God of Israel lives, who has kept me from harming you, if you had not come quickly to meet me, not one male belonging to Nabal would have been left alive by daybreak. When David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, this is verse 39.
Yeah.
When David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, praise be to the Lord who has upheld my cause against Nabal for treating me with contempt. He has kept his servant from doing wrong, and has brought Nabal's wrongdoing down on his own head. Then David sent word to Abigail, asking her to become his wife. His servants went to Carmel and said to Abigail, David has sent us to you to take you to become his wife. She bowed down with her face to the ground and said, I am your servant, and am ready to serve you and wash the feet of my Lord's servants. Abigail quickly got on a donkey and, attended by her 5 female servants, went with David's messengers and became his wife.
Well, so we're just summarizing the same thing. Abigail showed understanding and respect for David, for David's mission, for David's godliness. The way she talked to David showed great understanding and also great mastery of what was important. That she needed to convince David not to proceed with attacking her husband's household, and she told him exactly the right things. You don't need needless bloodshed. You don't want to avenge yourself. You are such an important man. You don't want this kind of thing on your conscience. Yeah. And David was awed. I mean, David really, I believe that when David left there that day, he was praying and said, God, can you give me someone like this as well? And that showed. So as soon as he had an opportunity, he sent for her and they got married.
There are some other things that I felt we should learn in terms of life applications of
Okay, go ahead. Let me just go to this page while we're
yeah,
talking.
life applications of what we have learned. One
Yeah.
or two, we've mentioned quite a lot of them. But on the part of David, okay, let me look at still at Nabal and Abigail. Abigail, we have been told, is a woman of great understanding. The timing of her discussion, remember when she came back from giving stuff to David,
Yeah,
she saw that her husband was drunk.
yeah.
She
Was
didn't-
partying.
Yeah, he was partying and he was drunk.
Mm.
So she waited till the morning when he was sober,
Yeah,
and she told him everything.
yeah.
So it's very important that, she discerned the timing so as to effect proper understanding.
Yeah,
Because the drunken man will not understand what she was talking, and they could cause another thing.
yeah.
To effect understanding and avoid confrontation. That's very important. Like that, we as couple, not just on this time it's Abigail,
Mm.
but it's both ways.
Yeah,
We should ask the Holy Spirit always to give us wisdom as to when to raise sensitive subjects, when to say what, and when to discuss what. Because it could be something that is good, but you have raised it or brought it up at a very wrong time,
yeah.
and it will lead to some other thing.
Yes.
Then on the other part is I'm still talking about Nabal. It's very important to me what happened between Abigail and the servant. That Nabal's servant went and talked to Abigail, Nabal's wife,
Yeah.
but couldn't talk to his master
Yeah.
because of his attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And that the servant even said he's a very wicked man,
Yeah.
and nobody can talk to
Talk
him.
to him, yeah.
How are you behaving in your home? Because if Abigail wasn't there and the servant didn't have anyone to talk to, it would be a different story.
Yeah.
David will come there and kill all of them.
Yeah, yeah. The
So-
servant will probably run.
Will probably run and leave everybody because he could discern what will happen. He was in the bush with David.
Yeah,
So your attitude, whether it's male or female, towards your servant can save your life or
yes,
cost you your life.
yes.
These are people you see, you wine and you dine with.
Yeah,
Don't be mean to them. Don't make yourself unapproachable.
yeah,
When we make ourselves unapproachable and they see things, they will not tell.
yeah,
They will save their own head and leave us to stew in whatever because we have made ourselves unapproachable
yeah.
or we behave meanly towards them. This is very, very important as members of our, even the Bible said it, in terms of relationship between us and our servants.
Mm.
And
Okay.
finally, anger.
Yeah,
Anger. David, once he heard that, he got up in anger. He said, God, do this to me. If I leave one male
yeah.
alive, and he was going to do that.
He was. And that's.
You see?
Yeah.
So anger is a very, but thank God that Abigail met him on the way
Yes.
and made him,
Yes.
that anger came down.
Yeah.
When we are angry, let's not act in anger. Because
Yeah.
we can do things that, we will regret later. And because, why do I know that David would have regretted it?
Oh,
It
yeah.
was the first thing he thanked God for.
Yes. Yes.
That he didn't have to shed that blood.
Yeah.
Or to have been said that he avenged himself.
Yeah.
So it means he would have regretted doing it if
Yes.
he did it.
Yes. Definitely.
So when we are angry, try not to act when that anger is very, 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 very hot.
Yes.
Try to ask the Holy Spirit to help you
Yes.
so that you can let that give time so that you also give the Holy Spirit time to minister to you.
Yes. That is true. David would have killed the dead man because Nabal was only, is it 2 days or so from his death, and he was gonna go kill him a little early.
And it will be that it's David that killed him.
Yes, and yes, of course, nobody would know that he would have died 2 days later or something. But talking about anger is also good to have somebody. I mean, you see how this woman talked to David and changed him around totally. To have somebody that can bring out that can help you, redirect you from anger. It's very important, and this is one of the things that couples can do for each other. that when the man is angry, that the woman should know the kind of things to say to help, and hopefully the man will listen. And the other way around, when the woman is angry, the man should know the kind of things to say to help redirect from anger. Because that's what this woman did. She redirected David from anger by telling him the right things. And it worked. David immediately recognized what was going on and thanked the woman. Yeah. Praise God for her. Well, this has been quite an interesting study. I'm happy that my wife asked me to look at Abigail and Nabal and David, because the first time I read it, I felt, well, no, this is just a story. There's nothing there. There's a lot more than a story. There's a lot for us to learn from it. And we pray that you will learn maybe more than we did, but that you can share what we have learned. And we thank you for paying attention. We remind you that everything we've done is available at bankingblessing.org. From there you will find the archive section, you will find the listing of categories of things we've done, and from there you can get anything we've done and anything we will do in the future. Thank you for participating with us, and we pray that you learn something that will make a positive impact on your life and bring you closer to God's purpose for your life. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you.